Hi, it's Dan here from Flexxable, and today we're going to talk about Facebook ads and Google ads and which is best for you. All right, so let's jump in. Let's start with Facebook, okay? What are the pros of starting with Facebook when you're beginning your lead generation campaigns? It could be on behalf of a client. It could be on behalf of your lead generation brand that you've built. It could be for your own business, whatever that looks like, right? So the first thing that I always want to look at when I'm running a Facebook campaign is to figure out what angle, what hook, what kind of big idea it is that's going to make your audience stand up and pay attention to what you're actually offering, okay? And a lot of people get this wrong. They go into a market or an industry or an offer, and they go in with one angle, and then they try and run different types of images or video ads or whatever, all pushing the same angle. The fact is, if the angle or the big idea, the hook that is going to get the audience to listen isn't resonating, then you're never going to make any kind of advertising platform which is why Facebook is so good, because it's speed of implementation, okay? You can come up with, if you're doing this properly, you can come up with 3 or 4 big angles, big hooks, big ideas, and test them very quickly. Get your ads up, point to a landing page, whatever that is, and you can find out, you don't even need a landing page. You can start with Facebook lead ads, and you can figure out what hook is working, and then from there you can start doubling down and getting a little bit more kind of granular with what you're doing. So for me, speed of implementation, getting stuff up nice and fast, and testing early doors is the biggest kind of win with Facebook, okay? Another great pro is that the algorithm is just amazing, okay? When you sign up with Facebook, they ask you God knows how many questions about your personal attributes, right? Whether you're married, whether you're single, where you live, if you're unemployed or self-employed. They try and get as much information as they can from you, and that's just when you sign up, let alone all the actions you take, all of the ads you engage with, all of the videos you watch. They gather all of that information, which gives them a really good kind of idea of what your interests are, what you're looking at, what you might convert at. Then you've got all the offline stuff that goes on with retargeting and pixels and all that type of stuff. It's just, the way they've built the advertising platform and your ability to generate leads from Facebook, it may not be as good as it was 2 years ago because of all of the stuff that's going on with tracking and iOS, right? But it's still bloody amazing. So for me, being able to get ads up quickly and being able to know that you can get ads running and start generating leads very quickly is huge. It really is an amazing place to start when you begin your advertising. For the offer that you're looking to run with. I guess there's a lot of other good stuff as well, like the cost compared to somewhere like Google Search. The cost per clicks is super cheap. You can still get a lot of clicks for pennies if your offer is strong enough. You've got a huge audience. You've got people that are engaged. They're scrolling through their Facebook newsfeed all of the time, which means that if you can interrupt them with that big idea, that big hook, they're going to be engaged with your ad quickly. It's great for beginners. So, if you're running ads on Google Display Network, for example, and trying to build an advertorial campaign, then you're going to really struggle because you haven't got the technical ability. So it's a little bit easier. It's an easier place for beginners to start, okay? The size of the audience, the size of the interests, being able to create lookalike audiences of people that have converted for your client. I could talk forever about how good Facebook is. It's been brilliant for us as an agency. It's just a great platform. So many pros for Facebook. I'd really recommend getting starting here if you're a beginner. Okay, so we're looking at the pros of AdWords, okay? The first thing I've got to say is that AdWords is just so diverse, all right? I think I was reading somewhere that if YouTube was able to be a standalone company on its own, it'd be, roughly the size of Facebook. It's that kind of powerful with the revenue it brings in and the amount of daily users and all that type of stuff. I could be wrong, but something like that anyway. It's a huge platform that could be by itself and still be a massively profitable company that adds a lot of value to businesses and consumers, obviously. So, where was I going with this? The pros. Okay, so it's a diverse network. You have YouTube, you have the display network, you have Gmail ads, you have Google Discovery, you have search. There's new things being added all the time when it comes to being able to generate leads via the AdWords network. So I think whereas somewhere like Facebook's great for beginners to get started, once you've got your offer and stuff dialed in, then you can start taking that big idea, that hook that I was talking about before, and start kind of sporadically testing on different parts of the Google AdWords network. So, where do I start as well? It's just an amazing ad platform, but they've got, if you're running ads on Display Network or YouTube, you've got great targeting, amazing targeting, like people that are in the market for buying a used car, in the market for a mortgage, in the market for a credit card, in the market because they're struggling financially. You've got customer affinity audiences, you've got intent-based audiences. So you can actually upload, for example, competitors' websites and ask Google to find you an audience that is searching for these competitor websites, for example. Like, it's just insane the targeting options they have. Okay, and then you've got the algorithm that works as well. So a lot of the best stuff we see is when we run big broad audiences and we have a great hook, great offer, a great creative on YouTube, for example, and we just let it run to a big broad audience. It usually outperforms all of that interest stuff anyway when you've got a big enough budget. So there's just so much. Also, there's better quality leads that come out of it, especially if you're running search-based traffic. And that's another thing that I need to mention is that Facebook doesn't have intent-based leads. All right, if someone's searching for buy a used car or buy a Tesla X today, that's someone that is really ready to go. They've been through their awareness phase, they've researched, they've understood that that's the car that they want to buy. They've done the research into how much it's going to cost them each month. They're probably pretty much there and they just need a phone call to close. All right, and unfortunately Facebook can't compete with that. Google and what they do there is standalone. Okay, so they're the best quality lead you're ever going to get, apart from a referral from a client or something like that. The other thing is they have amazing customer support compared to Facebook. You can get in touch and have a chat with someone live, one-to-one, within a few minutes usually. And then there's, I guess, more lenient policies and a little bit more kind of back and forth before they might consider shutting your ad account down, right? At least you can talk to them about it, whereas with Facebook it just turns, you might not get a response from them for 6 months, which doesn't really make sense to me. And then I guess when you look at tracking and the iOS stuff and everything that happened recently, it seems to me that they have better kind of tracking and offline conversions and being able to track your leads better with less kind of technical know-how to get going. So overall, another amazing ad platform. I would say Google's a little bit more for their advanced marketer based on my experience, especially if you're trying to run ads on YouTube, because you're going to need to be able to write a script. You're going to have to be able to get a video edited. And with search, for example, the cost per clicks can be $30, $40 pounds a click if you're in certain industries. So you don't want to be wasting money unless you really know what you're doing there. So that's about it for Google. Great advertising platform. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the cons of Facebook. I love all of these advertising platforms. I love Facebook, I love Google, and I don't want to kind of slate them too much, right? But let's have a look at some of the reasons why Facebook can be, a bit iffy sometimes and cause problems. And I think the main thing that I don't really kind of agree with, considering there's so many advertisers that rely heavily on Facebook and try their best to be compliant and have been shut down, whether it be their personal account being restricted, whether it be their accounts going down, whether it be their business managers going down. I can understand why they want to do that, but I can't understand why they can't offer some support to these users that have been paying Facebook good money over the years. And I think that's one of the biggest things that frustrates me, because I have a community of people and I see a lot of them being shut down. To be fair, it seems to be happening less and less now, which is a good thing. Maybe Facebook's learning a little bit from what's happened over the past few years. But there are people that are struggling, and the fact that it's really hard to get in touch with someone at Facebook to speak to them about it and just have a human conversation is frustrating at times for a lot of the people I see inside my community. So that's one of the cons. Which kind of leads into the stricter policy type stuff. On YouTube, for example, you can get away with saying a lot more in your video and kind of blurring the lines a little bit with policy, as opposed to Facebook. Sometimes you can write the word "you" in a Facebook ad, and they'll shut your ad down and potentially shut your ad account down for something small like that. Okay, so. I guess policy and how strict they are sometimes, and how the bots, read your ad and can disapprove ads, can sometimes be frustrating. Which is why sometimes we prefer to move everything over to YouTube, and we've done that ourselves quite a lot. They've been affected badly by the iOS 14 updates, where people are opting out of being tracked. They have been struggling with being able to clearly track the number of leads that are coming in. So let's say you're running a campaign for, generating leads for mortgages, and you're putting people through an ad to a survey funnel or an advertorial to a landing page and becoming a lead. Sometimes half of the leads are showing up inside Facebook, inside the advertising platform, which means that Facebook is kind of spinning its wheels, right? They're only measuring every second lead, which means that they could be showing ads to the wrong type of people, which means that your advertising costs are going to go up, your cost per lead is going to go up, and it's just not as powerful as it was before all of this happened. What I would say though is that they're working hard. They have got there is the ability to kind of use all the tech stuff and the developer tools to be able to count offline conversions and get that accurate, but it does require some pretty intense kind of techie skills. I don't have that. It's something that I get my team to do. But it is not something that the average layman, the plumber down the road that's running Facebook ads, would even have a chance in hell of doing. So that is frustrating, and maybe things will change in the future. I'm not sure. The other thing is that since iOS happened, is that the lookalikes and the remarketing audiences, retargeting audiences, are not as powerful as they once used to be, compared to what you might see on AdWords, for example, because they just know less about the click, the person that they're following and showing your ads to. They know less about them, which means it's not as powerful as it used to be. I guess the other thing with Facebook, because they're not intent-based leads, especially if you're running something like lead ads, sometimes you'll get a lot of tire kickers that come through. You'll have, you're running an ad for a finance company, mortgages or whatever. They'll see an ad that says you can pay off your mortgage faster. People will put their details in just because they're intrigued and they want to have a chat to see if they can find out how quickly they can pay off their mortgage, rather than actually having a phone call with someone. Which is why, if things aren't built properly with the right questions and pre-framing and getting people excited about picking up the phone, Facebook leads can be really, really bad. Okay, the quality is just not there. So I think that's not a bad start for the cons of Facebook. Well, I don't want to go into too much detail about all the cons. I think it's a great advertising platform, but there's some really good pointers that you need to be aware of if you are considering putting all your eggs in the Facebook basket. Okay, so let's look at the cons when it comes to the Google advertising network. I guess the biggest rock you guys and girls will need to overcome if you are running ads on Google is is overwhelm, I guess, because there is so much to do. There's Google, as I said, there's search, there's display, there's YouTube, there's Gmail ads, there's all sorts of different places you can spend money with Facebook and with Google, and trust me, they're going to take your money fast if you don't know what you're doing, which is okay, but the thing is, if you are going to get stuck into Google, you need to have some experience. All right, I would not recommend going over to YouTube until you've got your leads dialed in, perhaps on Facebook or another advertising platform. It does require more experience, and it does take more time to test, and it does sometimes take a little bit more money to pump into the accounts in order to get stuff dialed in and get stuff happening. So if you are running on a pay per lead basis or a performance-based model where you're selling the leads for $80, and you need to get them for $40, sometimes you might have to be okay with generating leads for $100 or $120 for the first week or so until you get stuff dialed in, and that's when the gold starts happening. And a lot of people don't have the appetite to do something like that. There are ways, if you are doing performance-based marketing, and I'm diversifying a little bit here, but you might want to be, if you are looking at getting to Google, you might want to ask your client to kind of cover the ad spend, and you just get paid on a conversion. We call it a hybrid deal over at Flexxable. But as I said, I am diversifying there. Some more cons with the AdWords network. It's harder to churn out creatives, not with search. Okay, search is actually quite easy to do, but it is expensive. But if you're looking at getting involved in YouTube, which a lot of people in my community are very involved in, you must be able to write a good script and create videos. Okay, it doesn't always have to be a highly produced video. It can be something that's done quickly and cheaply with an actor or a slideshow or whatever that is. Your hook and your big idea is often enough, right? But the barrier of entry is much higher and much harder to get involved in something like YouTube, which has a pro and its con in itself, right? Because it means that all of the fly-by-night advertisers that are throwing ads up on Facebook and getting started quickly aren't even going to bother with YouTube because it's too hard, right? Which means that there's less people to compete against, which means that you can do a lot of leads. I was just speaking to one of my students the other day, and he's doing 1,000 leads a day in the debt consolidation space with YouTube ads only, all right, which is insane numbers. And that is just because there's not a lot of people doing it well over at YouTube. There's still a big opportunity there. What else is there? Like we've noticed over the years that Google is more sensitive to changes inside their account. So for example, if you're running a campaign on YouTube and your cost per lead, you're doing 50 leads a day in YouTube and things are looking great and your cost per lead's good, and you introduce a new creative or you increase the target CPA bid on YouTube, sometimes their account just craps itself, and you'll never get that campaign back. Okay, there's no rhyme or reason. I think the algorithm's still trying to figure a lot of stuff out with everything that's been going on lately, but that really does suck. So we have ways around that inside our training, but it can be quite frustrating when that happens. Yeah, I guess it just means that you need more experience to get involved over at AdWords. But if you have got experience and you have got clients and you have got an offer and a big idea, a big hook that works, then oh my goodness, it's a gold mine over there for you good people. All right, so to summarize, what's better, Facebook ads or YouTube ads? I guess there's no better in this conversation, right? They each serve a slightly different purpose, even though it's lead gen for us. Fair enough, you can do e-commerce and all types of other stuff as well, and brand awareness and all of that stuff. But most people listening to this channel are going to be about lead gen, right? I guess what I would say is that Facebook is better for beginners, and YouTube is better for AdWords is better for more advanced people, okay? But that doesn't mean that you can't cross over both. I've seen a student come through that's in our high-level Flexxable training, our mastermind, and we helped him write a script on YouTube for car finance, okay? And it went really well on YouTube, but then he said, well, why don't I give this a go over on Facebook? So he took that creative, that script, wrote some copy to go with the video, put it over to Facebook, and he cut his cost per lead by more than half literally as soon as he uploaded it. So there is a lot of kind of cross-pollination that can happen here, and you know, both platforms are really just amazing. If you are a beginner, start in Facebook, test your big offers, your big hooks, your big idea, and get stuff dialed in, and then you can start dabbling over with the other advertising, with Google, the other advertising platform. And if you are going to start with Google, I think after you've got stuff dialed in, I would start with YouTube first, and then probably search after that, and then after that you can start moving over to Discovery and GDN and Gmail ads and stuff like that. There's so much opportunity over there. It really can be kind of like a bright shiny object syndrome sometimes, so be careful. Yeah, so that's my take on Google versus Facebook. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Just so we know we can create more content like this that you're going to enjoy, give us a like, thumbs up, whatever it's called. If you have any questions or concerns, or you disagree with what we say, then please type a comment below and we'll kind of get back to you and we can have a little discussion. And the last thing is, just so you're going to get notified of anything that we do in the future, press subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and you'll be able to see all that stuff first. So if you're serious about performance-based lead generation, I've got a game plan where I show you how one of my students, Agency L, his name's been changed to protect the innocent, how he escaped retainer jail, how he fired his 10 retainer clients and replaced them, and more with one pay per lead client. Okay, I'll take you through that process and what that looked like over time for him. So if you want to get your hands on that, all you have to do is click the link in the pinned comments below, give us your email address, and I'll send that 20-minute game plan over that you can follow and implement today.